For the FanFest, there is no doubt that there is a lot that I am actually very interested in. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the skill showcase and what I personally am keeping my eyes out for. I should say that this video is going to be horrifically biased because while I'm interested in all the skills for all the classes, because I play all of them, I am absolutely biased towards what I'd consider my most big mains here. And so likewise, you're probably going to have different things that you're looking out for, and actually let me know what you're looking for in the comments because I want to keep my eyes peeled out for those too. So the first thing I want to see obviously is Sage and Necromancer class skills. Like pretty much everyone else, so that's about as much of a revelation as Vieira looking good in Type 2B leggings. But now I want to get more spicy and a little bit more personal to what I am looking forward to. And honestly, if I'm being serious, I'm not just looking out or just excited for these things. I could actually probably make a video on pretty much each individual job on things that I want to see. But this video is going to be more general and like my top 4 things. So the first thing is Black Mage. Honestly, when the Black Mage shows up in the skill showcase, my eyes are going to be 100% glued to the screen to see if we get an even bigger fire skill, like Fire 5 or something crazy. Fire 4 is honestly hilariously explosive and the animations are stellar, but why stop there? Why not have the spammed Fire 5 as just a complete calamity in and of itself? As we say here, don't let your memes be dreams. Now let's talk about Scholar. Oh, Scholar, my main since the days of Eld that I am praying survives an endbook. For Scholar's skill showcase, what I will be having my eyes out for as my number one thing above barriers, above shields, above fairy actions, is how many attacks are they issuing onto a target. And I'm just going to be real, this is so incredibly near and dear to my heart that if you've been on this channel, you know that I am dying to get to more of an Affliction Warlock status-based, damage over time-based gameplay style where I'm managing multiple dots at once. Like Realm Reborn, we were doing like Thunder, we were doing Arrow, we were doing Bios, we were doing different miasmas, we were doing Shadow Flares. I want to see more of that. And even when we look back at Stormblood, where it was still reduced to a significant degree, it was actually still much more prominent of a playstyle than we see in current Shadowbringers. So what I want to see above floating fairies doing commands, giant seraphs falling from the sky, even angel feathers plopping onto all the entire team, or epic shield moves, I want to see a Scholar trashing the living bonkers out of a target. I need to see that. That will make me so happy if I see that. That is what my eyes are glued on. Though, to be 100% clear, because I always feel like whenever I say this that people get worried thinking that, oh, I want Scholar to DPS above everything else. I don't necessarily want it to add up to more damage than other healers. What I am looking for, plain and simple, is a more engaging DPS rotation that mixes things up. Even in Savage fights, when I'm healing, I have had the ability to get a lot of DPS in. I mean, less so on E12S, obviously, for obvious reasons. For anyone who's healed that, part 1 is a nightmare. But for, like, everything else, like, especially, like, even Extreme Trials or other content, actually, Extreme Trials probably would be a great example because I know a lot of players do that. Like, a bigger player base than Savage goes into Extreme Trials to farm them. Like, in Savage, I spend so much of my time, even in Diamond, just going through my DPS rotation. I want to see more grit. I want to see more grime to it. So FanFest skill showcase video, my eyes are going to be peeled on how many abilities is that Scholar casting on that training dummy or mob or what have you. Do the skills look like Bio 2, Bio 1, Miasma, Miasma 3, Biolysis on top of whatever other dot effects? I crave being able to really invest in that side, and so my eyes are peeled. Give me more, give me more, give me more. I'm dying for it. Now here is something even more spicy, and yes, I mean it, because I don't know how the community is going to react to this. This isn't an opinion I've really stated much on this channel, but it's something that I have felt for a long time. Range DPS, especially since that's what I'm taking into Savage. And I mean all of the ranged DPS, but especially Bard and Dancer, because I think that really the evolution of the Machinist has made the Machinist grow out of the idea of being a utility DPS. The utility DPS mentality of Eld has honestly kind of faded from Machinist. It's just a strong pick as an independent, personally focused DPS that is in its own niche within the ranged DPS category. Whereas you could choose like the Dancer, or you could take the Bard for like utility. The Machinist stands out as, hey, I want to do my own DPS, and you know what, all of y'all can do your own thing, that's fine, but I'm doing my own thing. And I love that for that. That's why I picked the Machinist so much. It's just because it is so independent. And I love that. So I wouldn't want to see the Machinist change. I actually really like the current state of the different DPS for that. But I've gone a digression, sorry. But reeling it back, ranged DPS used to have so many utility abilities put into their kit above and beyond where they are now. While Curing Waltz and Improvisation are fine, or Nature's Meoni or Tactician, those are strong. I'm not saying they're not, but I'm not saying that, how to say it, we used to have more. Like, I look at Nature's Meoni, and is that objectively, numbers-wise, good? Yes. Yes. But also, I have been told multiple times that healers don't even notice it, so... But take, for instance, that ranged DPS used to be able to restore MP to allies, and this is something that I do sorely miss, because your healer is stacking pieties these days. Wait, they're not? Oh, shoot. They're not stacking piety. Sorry, I had to do that, because they aren't stacking piety. But when a healer with low piety dies on a harder savage fight like E12S or E11S, recovery is just made incredibly, intensely harder to come back from than if a DPS dies. And I say that because especially if you've done E12S phase 1, it's just boom AoE, the Titan Junction, just bam, bam, bam. It's just so much damage, where it's just like, oh, a white mage's cure 3. People say that it's not good, but in that phase, everyone should be clumping up, or at least that's what my group does. We all clump up underneath the boss and just bam, and then the white mage does that. That's a ton of MP. And so it is so much incredibly harder if a like low piety healer dies in that fight than if a DPS dies, is what I'm trying to say. Obviously, if a DPS dies, it's going to make you a little bit more scared for the DPS checks, obviously, but it's much more easy to recover from that than if a low piety healer dies. So I definitely want MP recovery back. I don't care what form it takes. We've had refresh, we've had promotion from machinists, we have had Mage's Ballad in the past, used to function differently and used to restore MP. For the Bard, some form of MP recovery would be brilliant. Another example would be Foe's Requiem, which used to be a staple skill for the Bard that lowered the defenses of all enemies. Basically, they'd take more damage. And you could argue that it came back in forms of things like the persistent buff for allies through songs, just the different songs that they rotate through, or battle voice. But I look at Stormblood and I'm like, is that really an argument? I feel almost like it just went away. Honestly, that's kind of how I feel. But Savage rating right now on ranged DPS, I look at this ever-present looming MP bar, and still to this day, I wish that I could stack Foe's Requiem. And yes, it used to chug the MP bar like absolutely crazy, but I do miss that interaction. Right now we have an MP bar that does nothing. Or what about Palisade? And this was an on-demand ranged DPS cooldown to boost the defenses of an ally by 20%. And so... yes, God, tank busters. Yes, God, tank busters. I had to do that. And yes, wall-to-wall pulls. Can I want to fit like a Laganja Stranja reference into here. Most people won't know what that is. Sorry. I'm eccentric by this point, you know. But I loved Palisade. 20% on-demand damage reduction as a ranged DPS. Oh, it was so good. Oh my god, its removal made me sad this expansion. I loved it. Or let's talk about the ability that when my group was progging Shiva Savage last tier during ads phase, made me swear at the removal of arms graze. Like, okay, the silence is nice. I would never, do not take away my silence. Please, please, please do not take away my, like, interrupt. But give me this too, give me it back, please, please, please. That ads phase just made the disappearance of that skill so painful to me, because it's just like, you want to make sure nothing hits the middle, and it's just like, as a ranged DPS, I am in a much more effective position to leverage my range to do that, and I just, I miss it so much. And alternatively, now I want to just open up, like, what about other forms of utility we haven't seen, that we haven't previously had in some form for ranged DPS? My point, though, is overall, when I'm looking for interactions, or rather, I'm looking in the skill showcase for skills and interactions and utility outside of the DPS kits for ranged DPS. Yes, That is literally the polar opposite of what I said I'm looking for the Scholar, but I want that for ranged DPS. I need that blend. I really feel that my preferred playstyles for myself is like this weird little blend of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't know, I'm weird. But make me use that MP bar. I'd love to see this used in some way, whether it's like a temporary mitigation, whether it's like shields, whether it's restoring MP through it, whether it's increasing damage. I want to see this used. I really want it. I miss that. Now, the fourth and final biggest thing that I'm looking out for is Summoner. And oh yes, imagine everyone's surprised at me saying this. But I really wonder what the plan is for summons, because like I said in the past video, my speculation based upon a question and answer, which is totally speculation, totally speculation. That is not a fact. I do not know what's going on. I have no idea. But my speculation, based off of past experiences, the current problems with the edge eyes, as well as like ghosting actions, skill delay, all these other problems, is that we might be seeing the minor summons, not talking about the Bahamut and the Phoenixes, but like the minor summons like the edge eye being removed, like the Ifrit, the Garuda, and the tiny edge eye. But I'm curious to see what is actually going to happen, and I think that we're going to get a very good glimpse into actually what things are going to be from the skill showcase. And so I'm wondering, like, are they potentially being replaced by big, full-fledged, persistent Final Fantasy XI-like summons? Like, are we going to see something like Final Fantasy XI's big summons that you persistently keep out come back? Which would be mind-blowing to me, because I would love that. Final Fantasy XI Summoner played very differently than today's Summoner, for the record, for everyone. I don't know if it would translate into today's gameplay. I have no idea, but again, with what was said during that Q&A, we're not going to know until the skills showcase, and so that's why I say, like, my eyes are absolutely peeled on this. Or alternatively, we might just see them all be shifted to being temporary animations like Bahamut or Phoenix, where the core gameplay is still your self-casting, which to me, myself, given all the experiences I've had on Scholar and Summoner since 2013 when A Realm Reborn came out and they were released, would make the most sense to me, because people in today's modern Final Fantasy XIV like extremely responsive, extremely fast things, and so that would make the most sense to me. Or alternatively, another option is, what if I'm dumb? That is absolutely a fantastic possibility. I mean, I'd agree with that. But absolutely, my point is my eyes are peeled for the summoners. Absolutely peeled. I'm... If I did a reaction video, I might go, oh my god! I don't know if I'm going to spare everyone that or not, but we'll see. Anyhow, that is really it for this video, and I wonder, what are all of your thoughts? What are you personally keeping out your eyes on for the FanFest Skill Showcase? Of course, I acknowledge that this video is horrifically biased for me, but I hope that you share your own bias in the comments so you can keep me hyped for more.